so-called flying saucers.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. It's rotating.
Welcome to Kill the Stigma. So I was just listening to Joe Rogan and Paulina, and that was a wonderful interview. I mean, we're talking about the Book of Enoch, remote viewing, the government, the cover-ups, JFK, the incident in Eglin Air Force Base where Anna Paulina said she got men in black, and this general that we're going to talk about today a little bit just basically ghosted her. Her, Matt Gaetz, and Tim Burchett. And it's such a fascinating case, man. I don't know how these people just has the audacity to just ghost Congress. You know, that back in the day, before UAPs, would have been unheard of. People were like terrified of Congress. Now they're just like, they don't, it's crazy. It's crazy, the lack of respect, and it's unfortunate. But I think Anna Paulina Luna is a badass. Sometimes I disagree with her politics, but then I'm like, man, I'm a big fan. Can I say I'm a big fan? Anyways, so they're talking, right, about all this, and it's an interesting conversation here. But why don't we touch on that incident where Anna Paulina Luna got men in black on the Eglin Air Force Base. And why don't we talk also about the general? What's going on with him? That's what we're going to touch on today.
Men in black. I know a lot of people are going to be like, that's crazy, but ultimately what happened is, being a member of oversight, we follow up with whistleblowers, and we also can conduct our own investigation. So myself, Representative Burchett from Tennessee, and Representative Gaetz were on a small codel to the Panhandle because a whistleblower came forward from Eglin Air Force Base pilots to Representative Gaetz' office saying that the Air Force was essentially covering up UAP activity and we needed to look into it. So we coordinated the meeting. Pentagon tried to initially cancel the first one. We got it back on the books. We show up there and we get in, and the base commander tried to basically tell us that we didn't have authorized clearance to look into and speak to some of the witnesses, of which you don't tell Congress that we don't have the authorized clearance, especially members of House Armed Services, Oversight, and Judiciary. So I kind of had it out with the base commander, which is kind of funny because this guy really thought that he had it going on, and he actually, in the middle of our meeting, he took off on leave, which never happens with a delegation going to military base.
General Jeffrey T. Geraghty. So here's his resume. It's pretty interesting indeed. And I want to see if he's been promoted in the last couple of years. Now, I couldn't find anything about a promotion, but I did see that he got moved to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. So he was in Eglin Air Force Base in Florida. Now he's in Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. I don't know, like I said, if that means anything. We all know the lore. But, this is the guy.
But then also, too, we had, pretty sure, people from the agency that were there as well. And so you really don't find that. I've worked at Hurlburt Field. I worked in the military for a number of years. And so why would a intelligence agency need to be there on a meeting for whistleblowers?
She said, she says she got men in black. So it's not just the general, the base commander. She says there's two people from the agency there. Who are they? Man, she says she's pretty sure they're from the agency. So she's not sure who these people are. We know that after the Joe Rogan podcast, she said that the guy that ghosted her said, they're going to be happy about this. Like, he's going to get promoted. So it must have been some pretty high people high up. And I did post his resume. It's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting indeed. His education, and now he's at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, if that means anything. Or sometimes maybe they're just screwing with us, man. I swear to God, I don't know. Not sure. But who are these people? Why can't she know? And why? Why, guys? Why doesn't anybody ask about the other three objects? You know, she says in Joe Rogan, oh, the Chinese balloon incident. They wanted to talk about the Chinese balloon, not the other three that were mysterious. The Chinese balloon, nothing UAP. But why doesn't anybody, like, even Joe Rogan, why doesn't he bring, well, yeah, there's the Chinese balloon, but what about the other three that we should inquire into? Because, I mean, that, at the end of the day, caused this.
The President also instructed the intelligence community to take a broad look at the phenomenon of unidentified aerial objects. Indeed, President Biden conducted the first ever daily intelligence briefing session devoted to this phenomenon back in June of 2021. He was briefed that this is not just an issue for the United States, but one for the rest of the world. And as I said, our friends and our partners are dealing with this as well. We worked on a bipartisan basis to stand up an office at the Pentagon to study this in partnership with the intelligence community, academic institutions, and the private sector. These unidentified aerial phenomena have been reported for many years without explanation or deep examination by the government. President Biden has changed all that. We are finally trying to understand them better. Now, in light of the Chinese balloon program and this recent incursion into our airspace, the United States and Canada, through NORAD, have been more closely scrutinizing that airspace, including enhancing our radar capabilities, which, as the commander of NORTHCOM and NORAD, General Van Herk, said just last night, may at least partially explain the increase in the objects that have been detected. Slow-moving objects at high altitude with a small radar cross-section are difficult to detect on radar. Even objects the size of the Chinese spy balloon, which had a payload the size of roughly 3 school buses, were not picked up by previous administrations or other countries. We also know that a range of entities, including countries, companies, research, and academic organizations, operate objects at these altitudes for purposes that are not nefarious at all, including scientific research. That said, because we have not yet been able to definitively assess what these most recent objects are, we acted out of an abundance of caution to protect the security, our interest, and flight safety. In Saturday's case, we acted in consultation with the Canadian government, the President speaking personally with Prime Minister Trudeau. The spy balloon was, of course, different because we knew precisely where that was. As we have said, we do not assess that these most recent objects posed any direct threat to people on the ground, and we are laser focused on confirming their nature and purpose, including through intensive efforts to collect debris in the remote locations where they have fallen. In each
About that, where the debris has fallen, I can only tell you the first one, not the other three. Those, all three, we couldn't get to. And he kind of bits his lip a little bit there, and you see that, he's like, man. I think that's a wonderful case, guys. Yeah, I do, and I just wish people would, you know, when they mention the Chinese balloon, that one's boring. What about the other three?